Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's on like Donkey Kong. All right. All right, we're live. That looks good. I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Otherwise, that thing's going to be blowing up as we're trying to chit-chat about hi-fi. Neil, hey. Hey, Neil, how's it going? Where's Danny? He is probably working right now. I chatted with him a little bit earlier this morning. He sounded pretty tired. We had a busy day yesterday. My goodness. Jay from Jay's Audio Lab came down and spent the day hanging out with Danny, and I was able to meet Jay and hang out for lunch. And then we came back to the sound shed and we did some listening here, and we had a great time. It was really cool to meet him and spend some time. So Danny sounded a little tired this morning. I was like, man, you need a nap. So, yeah. Oh, Nick is in here. Oh, man. So good to see so many familiar names. Ace of Spades. Howdy. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Man, so good to see you guys. I apologize that I haven't gotten a whole lot out. I mean, obviously the big video that I did with the speaker placement is crushing it, which is awesome. And man, I can't tell you how happy and grateful I am that, so many people, that might not have, tried lots the first time are certainly trying it now. In fact, I had a couple of folks reach out and we FaceTimed and I could see the tracks on the ground and they were pulling speakers out. And the reason for them even reaching out is they just wanted to tell me, thank you. It was so cool. And I'm so humbled by that. It's like, this one particular guy, it's just incredible. I mean, he's got like a smaller room, but he's set up the tracks and he pulled his speakers out into the room and he's got some nice gear and he's got some treatment in there. And he's like, this is the first time that I really feel like after all these years of hearing the potential of, what I bought. And so that was really cool. Super, super cool. Anyways, good morning to everybody. This is going to be kind of loose groove. I don't really have any kind of specific plan, for today's live stream. We can talk about anything. If you guys are interested in chatting about Jay, we can certainly do that. It's always cool to, meet another fellow YouTuber, content creator, audiophile junkie, you name it. And it was really neat to chat, with a guy that spends time with amplifiers that literally cost more than my home. Sarah and I, we paid $179 for this house, and I think he was talking about amps that are like 200 and something $1,000. And there's even some that are more expensive than that. Like we're talking $1 million systems, So that was really cool to chat with him and to get his impressions on, pretty humble systems, in comparison, in the grand scheme of things, compared to the stuff that he's used to. And it was also cool, just to be honest with you, just to kind of get to know him as a person, and I didn't know that he has served our country. He is served in the Army, and immediate respect from me. It's like at that point, I'm usually humbled and I shut my mouth and I say thank you because there's just not a lot of folks that are willing to do something like that. And he did. And so there's respect there. And I was able to meet his beautiful wife, and she's a sweetheart and really down to earth and easy to chat with. And she does, anytime that you see somebody using a camera, that's her, behind the scenes. And she was great. And just chatting about, parenting and, they have a daughter that's close to George's age. And so talking about, the only thing that kids eat are just cheeseburgers. It's all they ever want is cheeseburgers. So we had a great time, man. It was really cool just to talk to people and kind of get to know Jay and his wife. And I feel like I have a friend now, so it's neat to have somebody like that come out and I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm going to let the content that he publishes on his channel be whatever it is, and he's free to say whatever he wants to say. One of the things that I really appreciated a lot about Jay as a listener is, and we all have different ways of listening. He's very stoic, and so he's difficult to read. This was the very first person sitting in that chair that wasn't like, what is going on? And I think a large part of that is, this guy has spent time with, the best of the best. He's been driving Lamborghinis around, so he knows how a Lamborghini is supposed to perform. And so, very stoic and very quiet. But he was very, very enthusiastic about the NRD speakers. And I think Danny was saying that he was more impressed with the NRD speakers than the N Extremes, that are Danny's flagship, and that might just be because he was just surprised. He was just like, wow, I didn't expect, these two little bookies to do, to do what they're doing. And so, that that right there meant something to me, and obviously, really, really was taken back by the room. And yesterday was, man, it was windy. I mean, it was really windy. We're coming up to tornado season here in Texas, and so you can feel it. Like, oh, it's coming. Those twisters are coming. And windy. We went to lunch. We came, went over to Danny's, and it's funny. I was sitting in the corner, just like watching and listening, and I could hear the wind. I was just like, it is loud outside. We get into the sound shed and we close that door, and it's like nothing, nothing. You open that door and it is loud. And so I think he was really, really impressed with the room, and really appreciated, all the hard work, sweat and tears that I put into this. And that was humbling, and that was cool to hear, how much he respected what I'm trying to do, with this environment. And obviously I don't have Griffin amplifiers or highfalutin Magicos or anything like that set up, or Von Schweikert speakers or anything like that. But needless to say, and he's already posted some shorts kind of mentioning this, is I think he was really happy with what he heard. So anyways, we had a lot of fun. He seemed to be really happy, and it was cool to meet him, to chat with him. And like I said, I definitely consider that guy a friend at this point. No doubt about that. Just a cool cat. Thoroughly enjoyed my time hanging out with him. And then I guess another thing that we can discuss, and we can unpack this however you guys want, is Southwest Audio Fest. So I'm going to be going tomorrow. Obviously I'm a dad, I'm a family man, and there's only so much time that I can spend, down at the show. I wish I could be there for all 3 days, but I can't. And so Danny and I, from GR Research, Danny and I are going to carpool, and we're going to just hang out, check out the rooms. And I thought I would ask you guys, and that's why I have my notepad here, if there's anything specific that you're like, Ron, can you please look into this room or that room? Just let me know. I'll write it down, and I give you my word. We will check out those rooms, and I will report back, and I'll tell you what I think. So I'm excited. It'll be cool. It's been ages since I have been to a show, and I don't plan on, working, but I will certainly go listen to some rooms. Danny's twisting my arm to bring a camera, which I don't want to do, but I'll do it. I'll bring a camera just in case there's something that really blows my mind, and we can, do some videos or some content, and, get some stuff out to you guys. But yeah, let's see here. Let me just jump in and see if there's anything jumping out. Let's see here. When's the big J and Jay-Z Yagi cage match happening? I don't know. That's a good question. When I was driving over to meet Jay for the very first time, I obviously knew he was a bigger guy, and I was thinking about challenging him to an arm wrestling match. And then he shook my hand, and then I quickly changed my mind. I was like, nope, that I would rather not. That dude is massive. I was like, this was a dumb idea. But he's actually just a really, really chill guy, really cool guy. Um, Speaker placement video was incredible. Must have blown a few minds. Yeah, Harry, I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. It did, and there were obviously a lot of comments that are calling me out about like speaker tone, and the the truth is, and I want to be careful about how I say this because I don't want to sound like an ass. It's just B-roll, right? Um, the actual footage that you saw with those speakers up against the wall, that B-roll, I don't even think the amplifiers were on. That wasn't like at the time of the recording. That wasn't how they were set up when we actually recorded them. I tried to remember where they were set up when I did the B-roll because I needed B-roll for the video, but the I remember when Danny was here, towing was a big thing, and so they were certainly towed in the exact same way for the recording than they were when they were pulled out into the room. And we weren't playing any kind of weird tricks or, well, had we towed them in a little bit, maybe they would have just opened up and all of this stuff that I was, you know, talking about would have magically gone away. No. And that's another thing that I wanted to mention is you could tow those in any angle you want and the results would have been the same. It would not have altered or changed any of the things that I was talking about or the main problem, which was coupling to the wall. No towing is going to like, wow, that really cleaned up the bass a whole lot. So I don't want to come across as like condescending. No matter what, no matter how hard I try, there were still people, even though I really front loaded, like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. People are like, you hurt my feelings and you are a jerk. You're a mean guy. So it is what it is. I almost feel like I should just stop trying to apologize and just be myself. And if I hurt feelings, then I hurt feelings, but it's certainly not my intention. I don't mean to. That's for sure. Let's see here. Nick, my man, I didn't know he was in the army. Definite new respect. Yeah, I didn't know that. Here's a guy from Honduras, comes into our country and serves our military. I mean, it a lot of respect there for sure. Halloween House, saving my pennies for the new NRD bookie. Man, I'll tell you what, you're not going to regret it. They're incredible. I've been listening all morning. I cleaned up the shed because we were obviously having visitors. With Jay coming out, and this morning, I didn't have anything to do, and so I was just listening. Listening to just enjoy it, and man, I can't tell you how pleased I am with how these speakers sound. I mean, as long as you follow the guidelines that we've talked about a lot and you are able to pull them out into the room and you kind of follow the same guidelines that I talked about in that, loudspeaker placement video, you are going to be thrilled. There's no question. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be thrilled, especially if, like me, what you're going for is that imaging soundstage, a speaker completely vanishing, disappearing. Vocals are important to you. You want to hear the way that a vocal is supposed to be, presented out of two pair of speakers. Man, I'm telling you, it's incredible. Yeah. Adam Frost, I was surprised people had issues with the op amp swapping. Level matching with pink noise is fair, and then the different op amps will have imperfect linearity and bandwidth. It explains a couple of dB. That's exactly right. You're exactly right. And I can understand, obviously we have to call it what it is. There's a riff. There's a lot of tension between ASR and GR research. It's 180, different ways of thinking. And so, the claws come out and no matter what, there's going to be some tension there. And I think it was completely fair and fine for them to say, hey, these samples are not level matched in post. I think that's fair and that's okay. That's fine. Um, I was the one that was responsible for the recording, so I know exactly how they were recorded, and nothing was done in the actual event of recording to change or alter or mimic anything. Nothing was done by me changing volumes, changing subs, changing any of that. I didn't touch it. And so, you know, should they have been level matched? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to my sound clips, and I would rather just give you what it is and then let you make any adjustments that you need to. I would rather do that. And Adam, I agree with you. I was kind of surprised that the default was it's all because of the volume when, for me, critically listening to those clips and spending a lot of time with those clips and even, trying to level match or getting them level matched to the best of my ability as I'm listening, the volume, was certainly a component. I'm not ignoring that, but there was a lot more than that to me. So, I agree with you, man. I was kind of taken back by that. I was like, huh, I mean, I guess that you could just say it's just volume and that's fine. That's okay. You can make your comment and then you can leave because it's just about volume and there's no room for any other conversation. But what impressed me were all of the comments saying the same things that I heard. It's like, hey man, when we get to that Sparkos plus Sparkos, there's something going on with those drums. And there's just some meat there. And there's some dynamics. There's some dynamic content going on there that is very, very good. And I completely heard that. At the same time, when people were listening to the Sparkos plus staccato, man, that sounds so open. It sounds so effortless on top. It's like the doors flung wide open. It's like that is exact. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly how I hear it. And so, I don't think that we can just, paint ourselves into the corner saying it's just volume. I don't think it is. I certainly don't think it is. That's my opinion. It comes with a disclaimer, that maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I've I'm listening to those clips. I'm like, no, I think there's more to it than just a volume difference. Anyways, Nick, did you play Jay your vinyl setup? No, I did not. I thought about it, and I really wasn't sure what Jay was into, if he was into vinyl or if he was just, into streaming. Typically, when I am doing like a first time meet and greet, excuse me, I do rely more on streaming. That way I can quickly lock in like, what do you want to listen to? Instead of let me go and fumble through some records. But it would have been cool to, spin a record or two and see what he thinks about that. Yeah. Yeah. Smell the snake oil at Synergistic Research. I've heard his rooms before. Who is it? Ted Denny, I think. And I will say this. Setting aside anything electronics, setting aside power conditioning, amplifiers, anything else, Synergistic Research or Ted and I, we couldn't be further apart when it comes to room treatment. We couldn't there This would be oil and water. I mean, I don't think it would lead to a fist fight or anything, but putting a dot on a wall is not acoustic treatment. It's not. No. No. Stop it, Ted. What are you talking about? So it'll be cool to see what their room is doing. Like it's been a while, so I don't know if he's putting dots on walls or if he's going to have some treatment in the room or what he's going to be doing. But it'll be cool to kind of see what they got going on. I appreciate that. I'll definitely stop by. I'm going to write that down. Synergistic. All right. I'll make sure. I'll report back to you guys. Let's see here. Hi, Ron. What are your take on Arendel versus Pearllison? Greetings from Sweden. I like the Pearllison stuff more than what I heard with Arendel. Very different price points, and you do have to take that into consideration. Between the what was it, the R17 and the S17? And forgive me, I don't remember which one is which, but whichever those models is the cheaper model with the paper cone drivers, I much preferred that over the $20,000 pair that didn't have the paper cone drivers. And we can say that's biased. That's fine. I don't care, to be honest with you. It's just like I tend to like paper cone stuff, and I think it sounds better. I like that pair quite a bit more. Now, I think that a more interesting fight, now that I'm thinking about it, excuse me, guys, is Arendel has their new flagship stuff that they came out with, and I can't remember the model. You guys might know it. 1528, I think. I believe it's 1528. Fancy pants, they're getting a little more boutique with the crossover components and things like that. That might be a more interesting fight. And I'll have to. I've been chatting with Arendel about that series, and so that sounds like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So I'll see if I can make that happen. It'll be cool. Op amps continued. I'm glad you've developed a healthy view of the comments because it would drive me crazy. Yeah. Yep, I agree, man. I agree. I believe ModRite may be there with the new amp. Check it out for us. You got it. I planned on stopping by to see ModRite. I will add that to the list because he's got the new KWA 300, I think is it? KWA 300. Big boy amp. So that'll be fun. Go to OCD Hi-Fi Guy and listen to the Fisher & Fisher speakers. He's really been dogging Danny. It would be good for you guys to check them out and give him your honest impressions. Yeah, I don't know how much I want to talk about this because I know exactly what you're talking about. I tune into to Mikey's channel when I can, and I happened to be just chilling last night. The house was quiet. Sarah was out, doing. Georgia does parkour, and so Georgia was doing parkour. Sarah was out of the house. Kids were asleep, and I tuned into Mikey's channel, and there was somebody asking about Danny, and I'm just gonna say this. I thought that Mikey was very incredibly disrespectful. Like I've never. I don't know if it was him trying to like joke around or something like that, but it felt extremely rude and disrespectful. He was basically saying, Danny has a big mouth and talks a big game, and if he does, then why doesn't he show up and set up a room? And it's like, will you simmer down, son? Do you like? There's so many things that I want to say about that. Like, there's so many beginning with, do you really think that whoever wins the best sound in a hotel room wins anything at all? Like, honestly, like, what do you hear what you're saying right now, buddy? Like, and at the same time was very dismissive. Like, I'm not going to go to Danny's place. And it's like, so you're not going to come to an environment set up that is conducive to hi-fi listening. So you're refusing to do that. But if Danny shows up to a show and you like what it sounds like in a hotel room, well, then he's credible. Then there's something worth chatting about. It really surprised me. I didn't expect that. I thought it was a very rude and disrespectful way to speak about somebody. And another angle from that is Danny's been, I would bet you dollars to donuts that Danny has exhibited at 5 times the amount of shows that OCD Mikey has ever done. Like, he hasn't done it in a long time, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't done it. And when he was doing it, he would win all of the awards. So, he did. He was winning the best of the shows and this and that, it's like for many years and years and years and years, So, obviously Danny's my friend, and I do feel like I'm a little bit, I'm being a bit defensive, and I'm, there's obviously, there's some feelings there. So there's some tension, and I'm gonna do my best to set that to the side and listen to his room with a critical ear and listen, and we'll see how it goes. I, I was really surprised. I was taken back. I was shocked, to be honest with you, that he was talking about Danny the way that he was. It was very rude. Anyways, let's take a look here. Hey, Ron, good day, sir. Oh, old guy, high five. Hey, man, good to see you. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let me just see here. This thing just jumped on me. Give me a second here. Hello, Ron. First time catching you live. Hey, Adam. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. I agree with yours and Danny's conclusion. Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Everything in audio is subjective. I love it when people are professional, when they are complimentary without being mean-spirited, politely saying this is not my style or flavor. Yeah, I agree. I think that's great. I have these kind of conversations all the time with Michael, the Greek audio geek. He's big into horns, and tubes. And I'm like, well, you got the second part right. Horns? What's wrong with you, man? But at the same time, I get it. It's like there's just a different sound, and that's fine. It's great. Just logged on. Not sure if you covered this, but what did Jay think about the GR equipment in your room? I don't know exactly what he thought about the GR stuff, and I think that he's going to be posting some videos with his impressions. He seemed to be very happy. Like when I was there, I was kind of just a fly on the wall, just kind of watching, and he seemed to be very impressed. And I know for a fact that he was very impressed with this room. And he seemed to really enjoy what he was hearing, out of these little NRD, prototype speakers. And one of the things that he said was, I would love to hear these speakers on my gear. Now, that meant a lot to me. It's like, okay, so, this isn't a situation where a guy just walked in that's, got $1 million system that is like, yeah, this is cool for the kiddie pool stuff, but that's not what he said. He's like, no, I would love to hear these on my system. And so what that tells me is that these are up to task. I mean, these should be taken seriously. They're a very, very good sounding speaker. And so he seemed to be really happy. There was a couple of things that I noted and we were able to kind of break bread about. I think that he probably juices up the bass a little bit more than me. He felt like things were a little bit shy in bass, and they probably are. I'm not a big bass head. I'm not juicing up bass all that much. And another thing, and I forgot to ask him this, if this is his first time experiencing open baffle bass. I know that the first time I heard it, it was hard for me to wrap my head around what was going on. And it took time for me to kind of settle in and really appreciate what open baffle bass is all about, because it's not including that massive, boom that you get, from sealed subs or ported subs. And so that might have been part of the thing. He's like, I'm kind of missing that, or maybe I'm used to that sound and now it's not here. So yeah, it was a very respectful, really cool conversation. He also, mentioned, listening to the NRD speakers compared to what he, has at home, which is the Von Schweikart, speakers and Magico speakers and Wilson audio. He's just like, it's not the most pristine and every single analytical detail is put into place and out for display. It's not really that sound. It's softer. It's softer than that. And at that point, I was like, what we have here is a guy that knows exactly how to listen, because he is totally right. And I know the exact sound that he's talking about. I hear it in the rooms. I hear it, checking out some of those $1 million rooms. And it's like, okay, that's a sound. That's great. It's not really what you're going to get with these. There's an ease to things. It's not, high def sound. It's not really all that. But at the same time, there is a lot of detail and information that is unpacked in the most beautiful way. So don't get it confused or twisted with a warm sound. It's not. It's not a warm sound, but it is warmer than that ultra high end sound that he was talking about. So yeah. Let's see here. Jay has a Kronos turntable. Oh, I didn't even realize that. How about that? I should have busted out the freaking Harmony turntable and played some records. That would have been fun. One of my biggest issues with the measurements crowd is the same gripe I have with a lot of engineers. They seem to act like we're at the end of understanding when reality knowledge doesn't end. Yeah. I agree with that. How do you measure soundstage? Where is the actual measurement that unpacks all of that? Like that's question number one. Like where can I find that? Where's the graph that says this setup has this much soundstage and imaging? It's like I'm curious about that. So you're right. Ron, just letting you know, your live chats are my new favorite weekly vice. Keep them coming. Mike V, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm rambling the entire time, and I feel like I'm boring you guys to death, but that means the world to me. Thank you so much. The holographic imaging with the TC50 was amazing. If you'd like, I can bring them for a listen. I'm about 4 hours away, so it'd be cool if I could pop on over someday, have a VTV amp that I could bring. Absolutely. Email is ron@newrecordday. Bring those TC50s on over. We'll set them up, dial in the subs. Excuse me, pardon me. Dial in the subs, and we'll give them a listen. I'd be happy to do that. That'd be fun. Yeah, in a hotel room. Like we're talking about a hotel room. Like, man, if you want to know what great sound is, come and listen to it in this hotel room. Like, stop it. What do you know? Do you know how dumb you sound right now? Oh my goodness. Can you check out the ModRite analog bridge at the show? Yes. Not only can I do that, but guess what? Dan is going to send me one to play with, and I am chomping at the bit to mess around with an analog bridge because I'm going to be the idiot that throws that in chain with that little Duke A5 that you can buy for $99. And I'll be like, yeah, you should buy both of these. I'm going to be that clown. I'm going to be the guy that convinces you to spend $99 on a Duke A5 and then go out and buy the ModRite analog bridge and put them together. And there you go. For the record, I'm still listening to the Duke A5 and I'm not apologizing for it. I'm still listening to it, and I am just impressed. I swapped power supplies this morning. I moved over to the I bumped it up. They sent the 32 volt, and I'm now up to the 48 volt, and more to come. I'll let you know, but I really like that Duke A5. It's a sleeper, man. I'm telling you. Another way of putting it is that I'd really appreciate it if we got back to the philosophy roots of scientific inquiry and knowledge. I want people to be curious instead of dismissive. Man, I gotta say, really unfortunate. I would break bread with you, my friend. I agree. I think all too often we go too quick to the conclusion. It's like, can we just ask more questions? Can we lean into things a little bit more without, getting offended or getting all worked up and setting our egos to the side? It's like, I think we need to keep asking more questions, So, yeah. I quit following OCD and JLab. They have become sleazy salesmen. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I didn't get that vibe from Jay. I obviously I know that he buys and sells a lot of gear. And with OCD Mikey, he is an actual dealer. He has, 11 stereo. So, his channel is not a review channel. It's a channel to talk about his products that he's offering. So by definition, OCD Hi-Fi, his channel is a sales channel. That's what it's for. It's to sell his products and his services. So yeah. Adam Frost, I have to go back to work. Catch you later. Thank you so much for the $2, man. I appreciate that, Adam. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon, my man. Your boy Danny lost me after the whole speaker cable riser debacle. Yeah, James, don't give up on him over something like that. Don't do it. I've got my cables lifted right now, And James, I don't know where I stand with it. I the other day when Danny was over and we were listening, he he always says it, get those cables off the ground. And I'm like, dude, who cares? It doesn't, calm down. But he asked me to do it, and he was in the listening position. And I walked over and I started moving the cables and I just propped them up on my subs, right? That's all that I was doing. And so I moved one, and then as I walked over, Danny was like, dude, that was weird. I can hear the soundstage shift and change as you lifted that cable. And then I went over and I did the other one. And here's what I can tell you about Danny. Danny's not a liar. Danny is a lot of things. Confident, cocky, some would say, very confident, rubs people the wrong way. He's not a liar. And so when he said that, I tend to say, well, then he's hearing something. Whether or not I would catch that difference or you would catch that difference, we would have to kind of be sitting there and recreate that exact same event. I didn't, but I plan on exploring this a little bit more and finding out, is it really doing anything, and what is it doing, and how big of a deal is it? So yeah, I respect where you're coming from, man. I know that a lot of this stuff can get a little bit silly and crazy, and it's like, what next? Like moon rocks tied to the cables, and it gets a little bit, a little bit nutty. So I get it. I get it. All things heard cannot be measured. Amir uses expensive speaker cables and cannot measure why they are better. Yeah, that is true. That's true. He can't. Mikey is a piece of work. He promised his own brand of speakers years ago that never happened. He has no room to talk about Danny. I didn't know that. I didn't know he's going to do his own brand. I know that he's talking about those Fisher and Fisher speakers, the slate. They're made out of slate speakers, and it'll be cool to stop by his room and give it a listen. And I'll be honest, And if it sounds great, then I'll say that it sounds great. And if it doesn't sound great, then that's what I'll report. And that's that. The love of audio. Picked up a pair of Source Point 10s and finally understand why you love paper cone drivers and soft dome tweeters. Heck yeah. By the way, the 10s build quality and finish is incredible. Yeah, I agree, man. And I'm glad that you got the 10s. I haven't heard the 8s. Obviously, I've heard the triple 8s, which the voicing of the triple 8s is a lot like the 8s, not like the 10s. The 10s are a little bit more lively, and I like that about the 10s. So, yeah, that's awesome, man. Good for you. I'm glad that you're hearing it. I bet you the love of audio, I could take the words right out of your mouth. You're hearing more just a more natural resonance in bass. You're hearing more texture in bass. You're hearing the harmonic structure of an upright bass. It's not just boom. You're hearing things wake up inside the cavity. It's like you're hearing the nuances. You're hearing the details in bass. That's exactly how I hear it, with paper cone. It's how I hear it, man. Let's see here. Ron, have you run a CD player through a NOS DAC before in 44.1 16-bit? And have you heard significant improvements in audio quality? Harry, yes, I certainly have. And yes, I have, for sure. We kind of live in this world as audiophiles of 24 192 or, go to the max, when the reality is, 1644.1, it can sound unbelievable. So yes, I have. In fact, the reality is, to be honest with you, Harry, all of my reference stuff that I listen to is from CD, ripped at 44.1, right to my Inuos Zenith. So that's how I listen. That's exactly how I listen, which then in turn goes to my MADAC. And my screen pops up 44.1, and I'm not losing sleep. It's like, oh, it's not 192. Oh, I'm not upsampling. No, I'm not. And it sounds incredible. So yeah. Let's see here. Hi from Boston. Truly appreciate all you do. Daniel Walsh, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you. Z Review says nothing better than a three-way with an 8-inch in a hotel room. I think it has more to do with the fun factor than acoustics and room treatment. Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to say that you can't have fun, but boy, and here I am. I'm gonna sound like a prick right now. None of those hotel rooms will sound anywhere near as good as the sound shed. There's no possible way. They can't. There's just there's no way. And so, to act as if like the crowning achievement is to get the gold award at a show, it just kind of makes me laugh. It's like, no, you kind of need to be in the right environment to really hear the best of the best stuff. It's like, you okay, you won in a hotel room. Awesome. That's great. It's funny to me. It's funny to me. I'm telling you. Eating chicken pot pie, so that's like kind of breaking bread. There you go, man. Yeah, there you go. When accounting for a decent power supply and op amps, are the Duke Audio still a good deal, or will more traditional amps be a better choice? So, without ever being a salesman, which I won't turn this channel into click on my affiliate links. I'm not going to do that. I am really impressed with the Duke A5 up to a certain point, and it's all about volume. It's all about volume and dynamics. And so this is going to come down to how loud do you listen? How much are you cranking things? And what is the content that you're listening to? That is going to be the clincher of who's going to really appreciate the A5 and its capabilities versus those are like, this thing is dog poo and Ron is full of it. If you are, listening to Mudvayne at 90 dB, the A5 is not going to impress you. It's not going to blow your mind. If you are listening to classic rock, anything under the umbrella of classic rock, leading up to even grunge and some progressive rock, think some Tool, things like that, into the 80s max, I think that the A5 stands a very good chance of blowing your mind with the Sparkos amps. So to answer your question, it can be incredible and it can definitely move ahead a lot of amps out there, solid state amps that, I've had even like some of these more affordable Yamaha, like the Yamaha AS810. That to me, again, was just like very front row. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it, man. You're excited. You're not falling back. Where that's the most impressive thing about the A5 is that it falls back. Everything is just like, okay, I've got some real depth here and I've got some real layering going on. And that's what makes it so darn impressive. So it's a very, very good amp in the context that I just described. Hopefully that helps. All right, let's see here. Ron, I've had a variety of DACs in my system. Have you had a chance to hear the Rockna DACs yet? No. Try a Rockna Wavelight if you get a chance. Paints my room with texture and curious what you think. I'm going to write this one down here. It is Rockna. Rockna DAC. Got it. Appreciate that. Thank you. Any recommendations for a 48 volt linear power supply? Man, you are thinking along my lines. No, I was searching yesterday. I was on my phone Googling 48 volt linear power supply because I want to throw one on that Duke and see what happens. I'll bet you dollars to donuts, Halloween house. That's what you're thinking. And so am I. So let's all figure that out. If anybody knows, we can help each other out. If anybody is like, dude, this is the one, let me know. I will buy one. I will steal one. I'll give away one of my kids for one. I've got 3. Sarah wouldn't even notice. She'd probably thank me. It'll probably be cool. One of the kids away, 48 volt linear power supply in exchange. I'll put that on the A5 and let's dance. And I sent an email to Duke, and I don't know where this is going to go. I kind of felt like I might be overstepping here, but I said, hey, what if we were to just chit chat? I don't want anything out of this. I don't want any money. I don't want any. This isn't like a collaboration that I don't need my name on this, but with my suggestions, with my thoughts and my ideas of making this thing better, what if I threw out some ideas? Would you be interested in hearing what I have to say? Because you guys know where I'm going. Hey, if we need to expand this thing to be, a few $100, so be it. Can we get a 48 volt linear power supply in that unit? Make it bigger. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that it's this big. Nobody does. Removable op amps, make it the window big enough to where the staccatos can go in there as well. You guys hear me? It's like, hey, maybe I can inspire a company to really level up. And then we've got a real diamond in the rough. We've got an amp that, is going to be exciting and certainly worth chatting about. We'll see how that goes. They might be like, no, we're not going to do that. But it's worth a try. I'm looking out for my boys and my girls. Anybody that is into hi-fi, I'm looking out for you guys. So it'd be cool if we can do that. Yeah. Mikey started his whole creation of a loudspeaker when he was dissatisfied with the MoFi source points. And when they initially came out, I saw it as a money grab. I remember seeing, oh my gosh, there was like a speaker that looked, is that the one that he was going to make his own brand? I'm kind of curious about that because what I saw was like a bunch of Baltic birch like cut in a garage thrown together. And so I was not impressed with looks. I mean, obviously how it sounds is a completely different thing. So it did not blow my mind. I wonder if that's what you're referring to as what was going to be his speaker. But anyways, I have been impressed with the point sources. I know that, the parts quality might not be up to snuff, but out of the box, I think that those speakers sound really good, and I liked them a lot. Hobbs, hey, Ron, mind if I swing by to pick up the NX Bravos and cables once I finish lunch? Yeah, Hobbs, come on by, man. You bet. Yeah, swing on by. I'm in the shed. I'll be here. No problem. Absolutely. Hey, Ron, great to catch another one of your streams. I'm struggling with cable lifters. I've put my speaker cables in ducts under the floor. What do I do? I don't know, man. I wish I knew. I don't know for sure how I feel about that stuff. I need somebody in here moving the cables up off the ground as I'm listening. I need to just investigate, and I just haven't done that. So I don't know if I can help you yet. Hopefully I will be able to help you with that in the near future. Check out Rosso Florentino speakers. I've heard of those. Rosso Florentino. You got it. I will definitely do that. James, Ron, stumbled across a Danny video about 3 years ago, then came across one of Randy's videos. Love listening to all three of you guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate that. At New Record Day, on ASR Forum, there is a thread about their new amp that they say they want to create with ideas from us. You can search it. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Awesome. Daniel Walsh, I recently placed an order for the Deckware Zen. I have 3 years to figure out a good speaker for such low watt amps, but happy to get sooner a speaker of hi-fi that sounds wonderful at low volumes. A speaker at lower volumes that sounds great. Daniel, what's your price? What's your budget? Let's budget first, and then we'll kind of go from there. As a father, I'm curious what your kids think about your audiophilia. None of mine really care all that much about sound quality. It's too early to say. Natalie, um, she comes in the shed pretty often, and she dances and hangs out with dad, and she'll sit in the chair with me and listen to music. So clearly, she's my favorite. I mean, the other two, it's like, what's up with them? They're in there playing Minecraft, but Natalie's the cool one. She's out there hanging out with me. Um, they the whole like YouTube thing and me making videos is becoming more of interest to Georgia. She's like, I want to be a YouTuber. And as soon as she said that, I was like, and you should do that. And I will help you. I will help you do that. So who knows? We'll see. I hope that they appreciate music. I play music a lot. So hopefully they'll grow up, like in that environment. And, if not, that's okay too. Yeah. They just won't be invited for Christmas after that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. NRD is the best hi-fi channel on YouTube. No one else has the audio clip test nailed like you do, Ron. This recent imaging test video was incredible. Review idea. Is Macintosh worth it? What's up with value? Man, it would be fun. It would be fun to mess around with Macintosh again. Oh man. And thank you for the compliments. I appreciate that. The sound clip thing and what we've been doing lately is really interesting, and it's a lot of hard work. It's a complex process. It's not like throw up a microphone and press record. There's a lot going into it, a lot behind the scenes. And I wish I could just tell you, I don't like gatekeeping at all. I'm very anti-gatekeeping, but the recording techniques that we're doing is a bit proprietary. And I don't necessarily want to say exactly how we do it for now. So anyways, a lot of hard work and effort has gone into it, and I appreciate that you appreciate it. So thank you. That means the world to me. Yeah. You don't review vinyl anymore after all. It's new record day channel. I know. I should get back into doing some vinyl record reviews. I agree with you, man. I hear you loud and clear. I hear you. There is hope. I'm not going away. This is what I do. I will be doing this until they bury me. So yeah, and I'll probably crawl back out and then be like, let's talk about hi-fi again, guys. So yeah, I love it. Very passionate about this stuff. Let's see here. Rosso Fiorentino, Certaldo 2. Okay, I will check out the Rosso stuff. I've got it written down. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. Drop off a pair of XMTM Encores for you to review. Oh, yeah. I think they're still putting those together. I think Hobbs is still putting those together, Dave. So that'll be cool to check those out. John, hi, Ron. I hope that you're having a great day. John, I hope you are having a great day. Good sir. Thank you. Under $1,500, Daniel. All right, guys. We need a speaker that is great at low listening levels that is going to be under $1,500. So generally speaking, I would try to move you in the direction of something that's a bit more sensitive. I'm drawing a blank right now. What do you guys think? What would be a good recommendation of a speaker under $1,500 that is going to be fantastic at low levels, low listening levels? I would say, I can't remember how much they are built out, but the video that I did using those NX Bravos, I think those are around $1,500 for the pair. Not the most sensitive speaker in the world, but certainly not difficult to drive. You wouldn't need a whole lot to wake those up. Those are very beautifully detailed, and so they're going to do. That's what you're after. You're after a very detailed and nuanced speaker at low listening levels, because as you turn volume down, that's what happens to our hearing is we lose some sensitivity in the low end and the top end. And so usually having either A subs that you can lift up or a speaker that is going to be a little bit more lively on top, that's where things, start to lock in when it comes to low listening levels. But I don't know how well that NX Bravo is going to do on a Deckware amp, because you've got just a couple of watts to work with. So that's my main concern there. Is I think that we need to find you something that's going to be very, very sensitive. So yeah. Bill, my man, Google AX. All this hi-fi talk sounds pretty confusing. I wish there was a really good guide I could get and follow, saving me a bunch of time, money, and frustrations. Oh, Bill, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. It's like we need an NRD guide. Huh. Now that's something. I'll have to kind of think that through. That's interesting. I see a he and she shed in the future. Yeah, that's right, man. I'll build a little shed for Natalie. Heck yeah. Playback Mansion. I bet if they get to pick the music, most kids will be into hi-fi. Yeah, you're probably right. Yep. Second channel just for vinyl. I don't know about that. There's some folks that have good success with, second channels and setting up a second channel. Seeing that I am New Record Day and it's like all things music, I kind of feel like the easiest thing to do is just start sprinkling in some vinyl record reviews. I think that, it'd be fun. It'd be cool to do that. Lots for the win. That's right. Loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. If you have not done lots, I don't know. I don't know what to say. You got to try it. I'm not kidding when I say this. There's a lot of hi-fi enthusiasts and audiophiles that I've talked to since I've released that video where they say it has changed their lives. Like everything has changed. Like, wow, this is completely radically different than anything that I've ever heard. So yeah, it's the way to do it, man. Let's see here. Jay had the PS Audio bookies in his rig. What did he think of those? What did he think about those PS Audios? I'd be curious to see what he thought about those. Are horn tweeter designs capable of good imaging? Yes, they are. A horn and a waveguide, they do have one thing in common, which is controlled directivity. And so, we're funneling information. And so you have a narrow dispersion that can help in tricky rooms or odd-shaped rooms that are problematic. It's not going to throw or scatter stuff out like a wide dispersion, speaker can. And that's my cup of tea. I like wide dispersion. I like things being thrown around. I like that sound. But they can image well. Yeah, for sure. Maybe not as well as something that's throwing things around the room, but yeah, they can image well. Yeah. Can you talk about the differences between your DACs, the Dodd Audio, the Holo May, and the Pontus 15? Sure, I can. The Dodd Audio DAC, and maybe one of the reasons why I don't talk about it a whole lot is I feel as if there is an ethical responsibility as a reviewer to talk about gear that is relevant, that you can get right now. It doesn't do you any good if I keep talking about a Dodd Audio DAC that, first and foremost, there's only like this many made. I have one of them. Danny has one of them. And all of them, every single one of them is a little bit different from each other, right? So they were kind of building this DAC, trying to figure it out, trying to, figure out the best voicing. It was beta tested essentially. So it's really not, if you can see it, you would be shocked, because really all it is just a DAC test board, right? With a DAC in there. I think it's a Wolfson DAC, I believe. And Gary then added his output stage to the DAC, and he obviously converted it to where it works on a 12-volt battery. So there are some things that he did for sure that makes the formula work. And the DAC sounds absolutely gorgeous. It sounds beautiful. I think that his output stage is genius. It's a very chill, easy to listen to DAC. It's not a forward. We're talking. I want to make sure that I'm not necessarily talking about tone. So I'm not. Don't confuse this with like brightness. I'm talking about soundstage and imaging positions. I talk about this all the time. So it's not like everything is up here in your face, everything is laid back. And so it has that kind of a presentation to it, and it sounds gorgeous. It sounds open, it sounds deep, it sounds wide. The MADAC offers more resolution, right? So the doors fling open when it comes to the entire bandwidth. It covers more ground, right? And with it is a little bit more it's mid-row. It's like, okay, some stuff can jump out a little bit more. Can be a little bit more jarring is probably the wrong word to use. A little more jumpy at times. So slight differences between those two. I go back and forth. I date both of those girls all the time, and they're both wonderful. They're incredible. The Pontus 15 was a bit of a sleeper because I didn't expect it to be all that great, and it is the most relaxing of those 3 DACs. So that DAC is chill. It's like, you know what it is? It's like working out in the yard all day long, and you are sweaty and you're tired and you're beat up, and then you jump into a pool and it is the perfect temperature. Perfect. And you're just like, oh man, this is nice. That's the Pontus 15 invokes that. It's just like easy. Everything is just smooth. It's like warm butter dripping off a biscuit. So it's a very, very chill sounding DAC, and it's a different sound, and I really like it a lot. That's a great sound. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll say this, and then we'll move on. One of the reasons I like it when a DAC does that is I know for a fact, even though that is chill, I can brighten things. I can move things in a different direction from there. I can lift things up and make things a bit more sparky, a bit more jumpy somewhere else in the chain. I can do that. I know for a fact that I can do that. What I can't do is when it's this, I can't get it to chill out. Can't do it. It's like if you start with something that is just like, I'm so excited, so pleased to meet you. It's really hard to get that to chill out. But going the opposite way, I think is an easier task, or that's been my experience so far. So yeah. Let's take a look here. What do I think of PS Audio? I haven't spent a whole lot of time with their stuff. I mean, anytime that I've heard them at the shows, it's sounded really nice. Yeah, I have no issues with PS Audio at all. Can you talk about? Oh, I already did that one. The GR modifications for the Klipsch RP600M, they work well with the Deckware 2 watt. I have one. There you go. There you go. Modified RP600M. There you go. Sensitive speaker, lively. That makes sense to me. I can see that working. Lots of positive reviews in online forums for Fritz speakers. Have got me looking at his speakers. Ever had a chance to listen to his stuff? No, I have not. But I'm going to write it down. Fritz. And I'll see if I can make that happen. Great content, Ron. Love Dan Wright's gear advice. Roll some NOS tubes in his tube buffer bridge. I use Amperex. Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I've got a ton of new old stock tubes that I can throw in there. So I'll certainly be doing that for sure. For sure. PS Audio Aspen series state that they are really linear off axis, so that would widen the sweet spot for friend to enjoy the holographic illusion with you. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Hey, Ron, to see you and Danny at the show. My friend Craig is on his way to Danny's right now and will be at my place later today. By the way, nice channel. Oh, that's fantastic. I look forward to that. That's great. What are other speakers that you would recommend that can have a large sweet spot? A large sweet spot. You know, there's a ton of speakers. I don't even know where to begin with that. If you want to give me like a price point or the style of speaker, I might be able to kind of narrow down some recommendations. If you're into like open baffle offerings, the Caledon certainly does that. A lot of the stuff from Spatial Audio does that, you know, so opens up, has a wide, beautiful stage. There's a lot of stuff out there. So give me kind of more specific information. I should be able to help you out with that. What's your opinion on tubes implemented in a DAC? I'm all for it, man. You know, I'm not one of those guys that would say that you can't put DACs inside, or I mean, can't put tubes inside of a DAC. I think you can. You know, the Lampezator DACs, you know, like that's obviously a very common brand that people talk about when it comes to that. And I took one of their DACs for a spin a good while back, and I thought it sounded lovely. It was beautiful sounding, great sounding DAC, really, really nice. So nothing wrong, you know, with that for sure. Google AX, remember to thumbs up the video, folks. Help get this guy and his kooky audio approach out there to the masses. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see here. Just past an hour. All right, I'm going to take a couple of more, and then I'm going to give Hobbs a call and let him know that he can come over and pick up some stuff. Let's see what else we got. Paper cone, Alnico magnet, full range driver in a transmission line cab sounds fab in the 70 dB range. That's great to hear. Hi, dude. I'm running the Technics SUG 700 Mark II with B&O C100. Would a pair of Q Acoustics 50s be a good choice? Man, I love those speakers. You know, they're a bit on the tame side, so they're a chill speaker to listen to. But that was something that I really liked about them. So really, really nice sounding speakers. Can't go wrong with those. I'm a bit of a fanboy, you know, for the Q Acoustic stuff. I think that they do a very good job with their speakers, and those 50s are very impressive. I like them a lot. Couldn't go wrong with them. So heck yeah, for sure. Ron, any experience with the Gustard X30? It has great reviews comparing it to the Dave, but very little press about it. No, I have not. I'm going to write it down. What is it? Gustard X30. Good to know. Let's see here. Thoughts on belt drive versus direct drive turntables? I don't think that I have a strong opinion about one over the other. Not a real strong opinion. I like them both. You know, I took that Technics SL1200, you know, for a spin, and I thought it was fantastic. It sounded 1300, and I thought it was great. Direct drive, it was dead quiet. I didn't hear any motor running or anything like that, and yet I also like belt-driven tables, and so I don't think that it's black and white, at least for me. You know, it could just come down to the table and the design of the table. Let's see here. Any word on a demo of the Caledon Mark II? The new changes Clayton made look great. Yeah, they do look great. I just talked to him. I sent him a message last night, and he said he's going to bring me a pair. So I will check them out and then kind of make the final call whether or not I want to do a video about those. I still feel a little bit nervous about doing that because obviously there's a lot of folks out there that are still waiting on orders, and they're going to be waiting for a long time. So I don't want to fan the flames of that. I think that there's a responsibility on my part to make sure that, you know, promises are delivered and that speakers are going into people's homes and they're happy with them before, I just make that list even longer, with another enthusiastic review. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to you guys. I don't want to do that to Clayton. I don't want to do that to myself. It's just not a good look. I would rather be calm and maybe hang on to those for a little while and then strike at the right time when it makes sense for everybody. So yeah. All right. Hobbs is on his way. He'll be here in a few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the chat. I'm going to have him listen for a little while he's here, because this room is dialed in right now, which is really cool. Hey guys, thank you. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and thank you for watching my channel, and thank you for supporting me. I'm so grateful for every single one of you guys. If there's anything that I forgot to mention, or any questions that you have about Jay or Jay's Audio Lab, or Southwest Audio Fest, just leave them in the comments down below. And yeah, we'll see you guys, I guess, in the next video. Take care.